Okay, welcome to King Paul, Unfiltered with King Paul.
Unfiltered
with King Paul. So our conversation today is basically about mental illness and the stigma that it has on people versus whether you're black, white, green, orange, because you know some green, orange people, right? But it's about the stigma that it has on different communities. I have two people that's going to actually be here to give us some knowledge on the therapy part of it and also the medication part of it. Now, medication is, people think like, I don't want to be crazy, and I'm not crazy, but the medication is really not for that. And so she's going to break down what it's really for. And actually, she's my personal physician as well too. So, you know, look how good I am. So. She's really, really good. But and we're going to have a few questions for them as well too. And then, you know, I have Danica here. She's gonna yap as always. So don't look at me like that. She's gonna yap all the time. So you know, the problem that I had with mental illness was I had a problem with I guess starting as a kid. It was more like I was molested first, like at the age of 5 years old, by a family member, and I got molested from the age of 5 to 12. So I dealt with a lot of mental illness from that, but I didn't know what it was. I just thought that it was just like normal. And it was something that was, I guess, I was supposed to go through. However, I didn't know that these different traumas that I had in my life was actually building from that point, you know. And when I got all the way up until like high school, I had so many different issues with people and not wanting to be around people. Like when I was growing up, my mom, she didn't understand why I just never wanted to be around nobody but her and my sister. But those were the people that I felt safe around, because the people that I felt like that loved me, they were hurting me. You know what I'm saying? And my mom, she kept a tight eye on us, but my mom was really sick. So she would go in the hospital for like 3 or 4 months at a time. So we would go to different people's house to live until she got out of the hospital. And they were actually molesting me. Wow. They were doing different things, like, you know, I not want to say, but they were doing different things to me. So it started building my resistance to want to be around people. It built my resistance to want to share myself with people. When I say share myself, I meant physically, emotionally, mentally. I didn't want to let nobody in.
Right.
Because I felt like at some point I was going to get some type of hurt. You know what I mean? Then I was always the fat kid that everybody was like, oh, you're so fat and this and that and that. And, you know, I didn't even know. But to be honest, like, I was not fat.
Oh.
I really wasn't.
No, I'm saying.
I'm a bunch of I was not. No, I promise you, I was not fat. I was not fat. But I felt like I was. I was really thick. I was thick, but I wasn't fat. I look back now at these pictures and I'm like,
I didn't have no belly.
What was people talking about? Like, why was they calling me fat? But, you know, it was that stigma of being fat. So I had all these insecurities. I didn't want to be around people. And when I just was around the people that I felt like I was close to and wouldn't hurt me. So all of those things started like stacking on. And at some point, it's just like it broke. I couldn't take no more. I broke my ankle and I couldn't walk for 2 years. And I had moved to New York, and I was there on Broadway. I was doing background for everybody. I just felt like I hadn't made it. So I went home for Thanksgiving break, and it was something that happened, and a little altercation broke out or whatever, and I broke my ankle, and I could not walk for 2 years. They couldn't figure out why that my ankle wasn't healing and everything. And that was when I didn't even know that. That time I was a diabetic, I didn't even know it. They were doing all these tests. They was running all these tests and everything, and they still couldn't figure out why I was not healing. So the doctor that I had, his name was Dr. Lee with UF Shands. That's why I don't like Shands, I promise you. Because those people did not take care of me because I didn't have insurance. I had to get that, what they call it, financial evaluation thing, because I stayed in New York, but I was down here in Jacksonville, so my insurance didn't carry. So they made me, I had to get under that so I can have surgery, because I broke my fibula and my tibula. So it didn't heal, and I was not walking for 2 years. I had to be in bedridden, and I had my leg up in the air, because whenever my leg would swell, the sutures would bust open. So they was talking about amputating my leg and everything. So I fell into depression, and that's what that moment I started going downhill. I started looking for all type of substance, alcohol, weed, everything to cope with my mental illness, and I felt like it was helping me, but it wasn't. It was just masking it. You know what I mean? I wasn't getting no help from myself, and that's when I started wanting to commit suicide. And then I started doing it, like, I started trying, you know. I tried to commit suicide 4 times. God said no. I mean, he said no.
Yeah.
So that the last 2 times is when my mom had passed away. And I talked to you about this, my physician. And I just felt like I didn't even know myself, because I wasn't living my life. You know what I mean? I had always grown to live for other people. I was living for her. I didn't have my own identity. I didn't know nothing. I just know I had to be everything that everybody else wanted me to be. So either I wouldn't hurt myself, or they wouldn't hurt me. So that was just that whole mental. And then I started getting help. My mom's best friend, her name is Miss Marianne. She started introducing me to, oh my God, what is his name? Oh my God, I told you, it's a book that I started reading. She introduced me to him, Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle. You ever heard of him? Okay, so he is a spiritualist. He's not like he's not big in religion and everything. He builds mostly about your spirit. And I started learning, and she started doing the work on me, helping me to do the work on myself, trying to figure out the triggers and what I was feeling and why was I doing it. And I started realizing that everything I was doing to myself, it was because I did not like myself. And I didn't like myself because nobody else liked me in my mind. And it was never that. So that's when I started doing the work. And I started figuring out why I was letting people do things to me, why I was doing things to myself. And you know, it takes those triggers, that make you want to let yourself go. You know, I had gained so much weight. Y'all had gotten to like 560 pounds. Nobody didn't know that, because I had hid. I had hid for 10 years behind a wall. I was working from home, but I was behind a wall. I wouldn't leave nowhere. I would just stay there because I was just so mentally trapped. So that's why this is so dear to my heart, because I just feel like a lot of people go through things and they don't have an outlet, and they don't have people that can actually help them. And they don't know, everyone runs to the church, which the church is big, it's good, it helps you, it does. However, God made a doctor. God made a pharmacist, he made a scientist, and these people God put to give us these different materials to help us, because he's not here in the physical form. So that's why he gave us you, Susan Tremazzo. They gave me you, Sabrina Thomas. You know what I mean? They gave us these people to help us, and this is why our community needs this. This is why our community needs this, because there's so many people that's running to get help with street drugs and everything because they feel like I'm feeling good. But when that pill stopped, I'm gonna tell y'all, when I was doing all those pills and weed and alcohol, I was a stone cold drunk, literally. But as soon as I sobered up, I was trying to commit suicide because I didn't like me, and I felt like I didn't want to live, you know. So that's why I wanted to start this conversation, you know, to be able to help somebody out there that's trying to, you know, get rid of themselves, you know. My song Save Me, that was about my whole struggle, you know. And when I wrote that song, I didn't have any intentions on letting nobody hear that. Because I was like, people is not finna use what I went through in my life, in my time, against me. And people ain't gonna be like, oh, he crazy, or oh, he's a crackhead, or, you know how people label you or whatever. But I had went to God and I was like, God, you making all these amazing things happen to me, and I'm starting to feel good in my life and in myself. Like, what is it you want me to do? Why are you keeping me here? What is it that you want me to do? And I knew it was music because I had stopped, and I knew what he knew my voice could do. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go in the studio and start recording music. I had never put anything out, so I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go do a song. And God, if you want me to sing gospel, because I wasn't thinking about singing gospel, I was just like, I don't know the Bible like that. I don't know scriptures. I really don't like church people because they hurt me the most. And it was like, but I'm gonna do what you want me to do. What do you want me to do? So I went to a studio, y'all, and I was in the studio with a bunch of guys that was sitting in there drinking, smoking. It was a straight up hip hop thug studio. And I'm like, I'm about to say, will you save me in this booth around all these thugs and everything? But I was like, okay, I'm gonna let you do, you know, I'm gonna let you do what you want to do, God. So I was in there and I started singing. And when I came out the booth, these guys was out there crying. And it was like, this is my life. And I'm looking, y'all, I was in daze like, what? These dudes out here still like, they still out here smoking weed and they was still drinking, but they was crying. And I was just like, so this is what you want me to do? You want me to tell my testimony? You want me to reach the unlikely? That's what you want me to do, huh? Mm-hmm. So that's when he started making things move with that song. And I started getting people to come in my inbox and say, thank you. You know, my cousin tried to commit suicide last night. I didn't know what to say to them, but I gave them this song and it saved them. Y'all, when I tell y'all I cry like a baby, I cry like a baby when people come to me and tell me that, because I'm just like, I'm supposed to tell this story? Did you put me through this for these people, God? You know, because in my mind, and I may be wrong, you know, but I'm like, God gave me that journey. He gave me that journey because he wanted me to go through it for somebody that wasn't strong enough to come out of it. And I feel like that's when I look at my life, I'm like, that's why he put me, that's why I'm a king.
Yeah, let me say this. You know, sometimes, you know, we can't count it strange that God sends people through things that we are going through now. It's like he sends a person before us. So when you said that, you know, he put you through those things, he absolutely did. But so that way, when someone else comes along after you, they can know not exactly what to expect, because everybody's life is different, but they can know what to expect and how to overcome. So, you know, don't count it strange, don't count it out that you went through that journey, because now there's going to be someone after you that you touch in that way to help them overcome, help them to be the best person they can be, help them out of that trap state. You know, a lot of people, and I'm going to say church folks who are very religious spirits, think that you only can cry out to God and get that help. But there's a ministry in a therapist. There's a ministry in a physician. There's a ministry in little old Paul who, you know, they mimicked in school to free themselves. You know, the Bible don't talk about brushing your teeth and putting on deodorant, but we do it. Why? Right. Because we want to take care of ourselves. We want to be presentable. We want people to like us. We want them to see, the person or the spirit that God has placed in us. And so I say that to say, a counselor is not in the Bible. It's not laid out. However, there was different people that walked a journey that was a counsel to someone who was mentally trapped in the Bible.
So being that you know the Bible and I don't. Okay, so they have these songs like called Wonderful Counselor or whatever. And they're talking about in the Bible. So they had counselors in the Bible?
They had people in the Bible who, let me put it this way, had a ministry in them that helped people out of, so I guess if you want to call them a counselor, I guess if you want to be literal. But again, like I said, you don't see, it's not written out that they brush their teeth. I mean, we don't know if they brush their teeth or not in the Bible. It's not there. However, God is a spirit. He's not a man. He's not a religion. So for people to say, you can only go to the church to get healed. Yeah, you go to the church to get healed. If you need them hands laid, there's some people who have a ministry in them, they can lay hands on you. You are healed and set free. However, he gives you a free will to say, you know what, I need to take care of this temple. Your mind is a part of your temple. So he gives you that free will to say, hey, I need to take care of my temple. I need to talk to somebody. Let me find an outlet. Let me find somebody who understands me. And sometimes they don't even have to have a degree. Sometimes, a counselor can be in somebody who is dear to you that you trust, which is what the Bible talks about is, people in that day needed someone that they could trust. They seen the glory. They seen what God could do in this person's life. So in
other words, you're saying there wasn't just labeled or they didn't go to school to be a therapist or a counselor or whatever. Got you.
Right.
Okay. See how the Bible, this is why I have my thing with the Bible is there are so many different contradictions in my mind to the Bible that it makes me not want to read it. Because I'm going to tell you why it makes me not want to read it. Wait, because I know you're going to cut my head off. But this is why.
It's the evangelist.
Right. Look, I know you about to. No. But listen. What makes me not want to read the Bible is because I have a strong connection with God. And I don't need the Bible to tell me what's right and what's wrong because I know what he tells me because we have a communication, and I've always been connected to him since I was little.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I always knew what was right and what was wrong. So when I read things in the Bible, my God, I'm like, somebody have manipulated these words to fit what they wanted it to fit. In my mind, however, I don't condemn nobody else from reading it, but I know my connection with him and some things that I don't agree with, in some religions I don't agree with, but I don't, I don't have a problem. That's just because everybody have their own beliefs, but we all have the same belief, and that's him. You get what I'm saying? So there's no right and there is no wrong. It's what you believe for you. You know what I mean?
That's why you have to make sure, and I think I tell you this all the time, with a lot of different positions, you have to make sure you have a discernment when you read. So a lot of people think they can pick up the Bible and just start reading. You have to pray and you have to go into your own prayer closet to make sure that God is leading you to what it is that he wants you to understand. Because if it's not pertaining to whatever season you are in, then your carnal mind kicks in and you're not reading it from the spirit.
It's crazy that you say that because you know what, when I was a kid and my mama used to always try to make us read the Bible and stuff, I used to be like, Mama, I don't know what I'm reading. I don't understand. And she said, well, Paul, this is what you do. Before you pick up the Bible, you pray and you ask God what he wants you to know. And that's your Bible. And I was like, okay. I still didn't know nothing. I still didn't know nothing. But I was like, I'm going to read it. And read nothing and didn't understand nothing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'm going to say this. Your anointing does not come from how many scriptures you know. It does not come from you sitting in church all your life. Your anointing comes from what God puts in you, whatever your destiny is, whatever your work is. That's your anointing. I'm going to say, I am in ministry. I've preached my sermon, taught my sermons, not preached, taught my sermons. However, if you but come on, or some boogie from South Dallas, I'm hitting it, and then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna pray, and then you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna give.
Because we're imperfect, and that's what
right.
people don't realize. Like somebody just said to me the other day, I had posted something on Instagram and Facebook, and I cursed, and they said, Paul, you singing gospel, why are you cursing? And I said, I'm not gonna say the person's name, but I said, I'm human, and I don't have to hide from y'all because God sees all and knows all.
You don't have to choose.
You know what I'm saying? And it's
yeah.
He sees all and knows all,
right.
and He is the one that's gonna bring me to heaven or send me to hell, which I don't really too much believe in hell, but whatever the hell that y'all talking about. That's who controls me, and that's who has the final say. So of course I try to filter, which I'm unfiltered, but I try to filter with that when I have different people around, because I don't want to disrespect people and their beliefs or whatever. But I have this thing that I'm working on when it comes to my language and me cursing, because it makes me, to be honest, it makes me feel good. Because if I could say a real good curse word, it clears my mental. It makes my mental feel like it gives me this breath of fresh air. And I'm like, oh, this Emma Ethel or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that feels so good. It did something and it cleared my mental. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what we're here on earth and everything is so difficult here. So anything that's not going to harm anybody else, I feel like go ahead. In my mind, I am not perfect. None of us are. And if we were, God wouldn't want us. But anything that's going to give you a peace of mind, that's not going to be offensive or hurtful to other people, why not? Go right ahead. But you go in your prayer, which I like to call it the prayer closet. You go in your prayer closet and say, God, you know my heart.
But God, I feel like God likes the imperfect. I feel like He likes the muddy ones. He likes to clean them up. He likes, I feel like if we were all perfect and He had nothing to clean up and He had nothing to bring us over, then what would be the purpose of Him being almighty and showing us what we can do? So I feel like He loves the unperfect.
That's true.
And that's why I say you don't have to choose, because your anointing does not dictate. Really, to me, what He's teaching me, your blessings really don't dictate in the Bible.
Right.
Your blessings come from the fact of you're trying. He sees that you're trying. You're fasting. You're praying. You're giving to people. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what a lot of people don't know about giving.
Man, look,
they always asking oh, you always got this or whatever, because I'm free to give it to whatever and whoever. See, this is the thing, and this is and not to jump off to, but this is how I clear my mind, and so I can have me some free mental space. When I do things for people, I'm gonna say this to the camera. If I do something for you, and then let me figure out a way to say it so I won't. If I give you something, or if I do something for you, I don't look for nothing back. You know why? Because it's not for me. I was just the vessel. I was the vessel to be open for God to bless you how He wanted to bless you. Now, if you feel like you want to talk about me, you want to
be a backstabber,
all these other things,
a naysayer,
you go right ahead, because guess what? Next time, that vessel will be closed. And I'm going to have a talk with God, and I'm going to tell Him, you know what, God? Can you use somebody else? Because this person right here, they done burnt me too many times. So that's just a disclaimer. Now, listen, so this is what we're gonna start with. We're gonna bring in Dr. Susan Tremazzo and Miss Sabrina Thomas, and which I call Brina. But we have some questions for them, so we'll be able to help you guys deal with a lot of mental distress, or with Dr. I like to say Susan. Do I gotta
just call me Susan,
okay.
Please.
Okay. What I want to do is have them to speak about what they do and how they can help us. Also, they're going to give us their different outlets where you can reach out to them, because they're willing to help anybody that's going through anything, and they're both women of God as well too. So if you afraid to talk to anybody because you just want to go talk to your pastor, they got a conversation with God too. So, but just so let's welcome them, y'all. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
So Sabrina, just tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I work with children and families. I have my own practice. It's Florida Clinical Solutions Academy. It's here in Jacksonville. I also do virtual therapy throughout the state of Florida. But I seem to pick up with a lot of adolescents and children. So right now, that is my primary focus. It's with the babies.
And we need that, and see, we need that because that's where it starts.
Yes, absolutely.
That is where it starts, right there at that age, you know. So, so we do have some questions for you, but let's go ahead and let her tell us about her, so we can all just converse together, because she may have some questions for you, you may have some questions for her, and we can just have an open forum, you know. Okay, so Susan, tell us about you.
Yeah, so I'm Susan Tremazzo. I am a family nurse practitioner. I work in primary care, so I take care of people from little kids to adults, mostly adults in my current practice. And mental health is definitely something that comes up every day, multiple times a day in primary care, because it's part of our health and it's part of who we are. So yeah, it's a huge part of our overall health, and something that we in primary care want to really focus on. So
Okay, well, thank you. So I'm going to start with you. You know what? Let me start with you, Susan. I'll start with you because this is actually my physician. And tell them when you first started seeing me, the person that I was and who I am now.
Well, when I first met you, yeah, we, hadn't made the connection of, the fact that we both love God, and, it was sort of just more of that clinical relationship.
Right.
I have definitely seen a growth in you connecting to your own spirit and to God, and just in your joy. When I see patients, when they're going through stuff, and then after when they're feeling better, I always say to somebody, you look like you again. You can see a light and a joy, and I definitely saw that in you when, I think you were able to connect, some of your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health all together. And I always tell patients that, I say we have our physical health, our spiritual health, our mental health. We need them all to work together to be healthy as a whole person. But they do need their own separate attention. A lot of times people come and say, oh, my pastor said if I just love Jesus, I wouldn't be depressed. Well, we can love, Jesus and still be depressed. That's okay. He gave us emotions. He gave us this brain that makes neurochemicals that give us these emotions to navigate life with. And you can love him and still be going through hard stuff and still feel depressed or anxious, or, you don't know where you're at in life. You can have both of those things. And when I see people like you, and it ebbs and flows. I mean, we all we'll have good times and things are good, and then something might bring us down again. But when someone can make that connection of my mental health is part of my holistic health, and it doesn't mean that I don't love my family or I don't love God, but that I need to listen to my mind and listen to what my self is telling me. People are successful in taking care of themselves as a whole person when they can kind of make that connection.
Susan, with when you said about the physical, spiritual, and mental aspects, because I talk about those things. And when you're working on your physical, you're working on your mental, and you're working on your spiritual, sometimes you got to do a temperature check. Have I talked to God lately? Have I worked out lately? Is my mental right? You have to keep all those things in order. Is my self-care going good? Because your body is a temple, and your body does need all those things. So we're not saying that you don't, when you're going to therapy is not just about taking care of your mental health. We're telling you to go talk to the Lord. We're telling you to go work out. We're telling you to cope with whatever you're going through, because when everything is at a level of that level, that medium level, you're able to take care of yourself and everything that you have going on. And that's where that stress level comes in. So if you have stress, stress is one of the biggest things that I guess everybody's going through right now, especially with the pandemic. When it comes to that stress, you want to make sure that stress is also good. So let me just say that stress is good. So if you're not stressed out, something's not right. Stress helps us to know that we're still alive and we're still moving. It comes when your stress is overwhelmed. So if you have overwhelming amount of stress, you want to definitely check all those things.
Let me stop you right there. You said that stress is good.
Yes.
How is stress? Can you go in depth with that? How is stress good? Because I've always been told, like, it's not good to stress about nothing. If you stress, that means you don't trust God, or you ain't got your life together, that type of thing. So what can you expound on how that
stress means you care. Why would you stress out if you didn't care? So let's think about it. Think about a kid who is stressed out about a test. That means they care about that test. If you ain't stressed about your kid, that means you don't care about your kid. You should stress about things because it means you care. So if you care about it, that means it's important to you, and that means you want to take care of it.
So is there any way, how do we fix our minds to not stress enough? Too much. Is there some type of medium that we should have where, okay, you stress this little bit, but then you don't go this amount? How can we focus on stressing, because you say it's a good thing for us to stress, without it being a problem?
You're stressed too much when you can't concentrate and you can't function. So if you ever get to that level of stress, that means you've done too much. So when you feel like the stress is getting to a place I like to tell my clients, rate your stress from a scale from 0 to 10, and where do you lie? If you're at a 10, that means you're completely stressed out. If you're at a 5, that means you're in medium stress. That means you can handle it. But you have to know where your medium is. Because some people, 7 is comfortable for them. Some people, 3 is comfortable for them. So you got to find out where you are on your stress level. And then if you're at that level where you're comfortable, you can push through it. But if you're at that level where it's not good, okay, well then I might have to take a pause from whatever I'm doing, figure out what do I need to take care of me? Do I need to call up a friend and have a conversation? Do I need to see a therapist? Do I need to check in with my family? Do I need to go for a walk? Do I need to go running? Do I need to just take a nap? You got to figure out what it is that your body needs at that moment. Nobody knows you better than you. And I always like to tell my young kids, when you go to the bathroom, who following you? You. When you going to school, who follows you? You. When you going to sleep, who follows you? You. Why aren't you important to you? So take care of you the best way you know how to. And I love y'all parents. I'm a parent myself. But if your baby like to listen to music and that, any type of music, let them listen to it because it helps them, especially the new age music. I'm not big into the lyrics, and I got a 12-year-old at home and I'm just listening. I'm like, what is they saying? But it's the words that connect to them, and it's what matters to them. So sometimes we can't stop them from, not saying of course you say don't listen to the curse words and all those things, but it connects to them. And that's a coping skill for our young people. Music is the biggest coping skill out there for a lot of people. And that's why your song means so much, because those words that are written in your song, it connects to someone who doesn't know how to express
or put those words
in. No.
Okay, I thought she was about to cry. I was like, I'm about to leave.
No, listen. Look, I don't like to speak. You got me over here. Listen, I'm gonna tell you. So you know how you said earlier that God gives you gifts. My gifts is to listen, and I don't like to talk. So but I know how to talk. It's just that my gift is always going to be listening because I want to hear your story and I want to know that what you're saying so that I have a right, appropriate response. So that's one thing that and I did not know I had that gift for a very long time because I used to be a very shy, quiet kid. Why is she so shy? Why is she quiet? Why she don't talk? Because I'm taking it all in. Yeah. I know about you, and you. You don't even know it. And I would never tell anybody what it was until you asked me a question, and I was able to give it to you. Because it would, like I said, it wasn't until I got a bit older that I realized my gift was to listen and then respond. So your gifts are not always how people say in the church, singing. Because that's the first thing you go to church. Your gift, you got to sing. No, your gift could be just to listen.
Yeah.
And know what discernment is.
Yeah.
And be able to just know when it's the right time to say something.
Okay. It's something that I want to kind of piggyback off what you said. When you said that when you go to the bathroom, who follows you? When that little statement that you made. How I started helping myself to love and care about me more, I started saying to myself, when you leave this earth, who do you have? And I'm going to ask y'all that question. Let me ask you first. I'm going to see who's going to get it. When you leave this earth, who do you have?
I hope God, but technically nothing.
What about you?
Yeah, just God. Okay. And we can't take anything with us except for ourselves and hopefully help to bring other souls to Him too.
Okay.
But it's us and Him.
Okay. What about you?
I would say dirt.
You are so slow. Why are you so slow? Can you tell me why you're so slow, please? Can you please, little think?
No, we got God, but at the end of the day, don't we turn to dirt?
Okay. So this is my philosophy on this. When you leave this earth, the only person you have is yourself. Because God can say, I don't want you. You didn't do what you're supposed to do. Go to hell. And when you go to hell, if there's a hell, but if you go to hell, who do you have? You got Satan, but him, Ken. But you still stuck with who? You. So why not take care of you? Why not continue to make you happy? Because this is the only person that you have for the rest of your entire being. When you die, you only got you. When you in the coffin, you only got you. When you chopped up, you only got you. When somebody beating you, well, you only got you. You get what I'm saying? So why not make yourself happy? Why not do everything that you need to do to make yourself a better you for you? Not for nobody else. Not because nobody else want to like you. Or not, I'm going to go to the gym because they want me to have a six-pack. Screw the six-pack. Okay? I love me because I like food and I like to eat. So I don't care who don't like myself because I like it because it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
So that's what it's about. Okay? I want to talk to Dr. Tremazzo Susan. Dr. Tremazzo Susan. Friend.
Just call me Susan.
Let me talk to my friend, my Dr. Susan. Okay, so I got put on medication, which I was so against because at first when I was doing my therapy and everything, I wasn't on any medications, but I was still having a lot of anxiety. I couldn't sleep. I just had a lot of stuff going on in my mind, but I was like, I'm in a good place, but why am I feeling like this? And I went to Susan, and she was like, well, let me prescribe you a little medication to help you with it. I was like, I don't want no crazy medicine. You don't have me sitting up crazy, because that was the things that I heard growing up.
Yeah.
I remember a few aunts, they were on Prozac and all these other stuff, and I remember when like different people would go at it with each other or whatever. That's why she on Prozac, because you're crazy as hell, and this and that and that and that. So when she actually referred me to that, I was like, I ain't crazy, I don't want that. But then she broke it down to me, and I was like, oh, she said, you've been through so much and you never gotten any help for it. Now your mind needs help to build those, what you say, chemicals.
Just kind of, heal those neurochemicals.
So just tell them what you told me, because what she told me, y'all, it made so much sense to me. It made so much sense to me till I was just like, give it to me. But just tell them how you broke it down to me.
So the way I always present like medication to patients when it comes to depression, anxiety, that kind of stuff, because most people have some resistance to it. Like, I don't want to take pills and have to rely on it. I don't want it to change me. I don't want to, for people to think I'm crazy because I have to take medication. And I always start by saying, if you came to me with high blood pressure, I would never tell you to like snap out of your blood pressure. Your family member would never tell you to snap out of your blood pressure, snap out of your diabetes. They would tell you, go see your doctor, take medication so that you can, take care of your body and keep living the way that, you're meant to live. And our mental health is the same thing, because, it is all in our head. It's always what I tell people, because our brain's in our head, and our brain is a very powerful organ that has neurochemicals that allow us to navigate emotions. And as humans, we need emotions. We're supposed to get angry at things that we, have to get angry about. We're supposed to be sad about, sad things. We're supposed to find joy and happiness in happy things. And those neurochemicals, they kind of are ebbing and flowing in our brain to help us navigate those. But when we've been through horrible traumas, when we've, been through things, or sometimes just because of our genetics, just how it is, those neurochemicals can be out of balance, and medicines can really help that. And it's not for everybody. Some people don't feel well on medicines. What I tell people is the whole goal is to make you feel more like you, and to make you feel more like your best version of yourself. It's not to take away your personality or take away your emotions. It's to enhance who you are, so that the cloud of depression or anxiety can be lifted, so you can see through the cloud. Because sometimes depression and anxiety is such a cloud, and it's so thick around us that we can't see through it anymore. And what I tell people is that when you get in that space, the depression has control over you, or the anxiety has control over you. So even though people look at medicines and say, I don't want the medicine to have control over me, I say, well, if the depression has control over you, taking medicines might be a way to like take that control back and find the control over your emotions again, and be able to see through that cloud, so that you can find your joy and your happiness and the balance of the emotions again.
Okay, so with me, and I don't mind, I'm so unfiltered. So when I first started, she started me on fluoxetine, which is Prozac. It's just like a generic version of it. And in my mind, I told y'all, I had already heard, that lady on Prozac, she crazy, right? So, but when I first took it, I literally started feeling like myself again. And I started wanting to do things. I started losing weight. I started wanting to participate in things. And it was actually one of the things that actually started making me again, And then she tried me on something for anxiety, because I couldn't, every time I would wake up in the morning, I would lose my stomach, if y'all know what that means. Early in the mornings, I would sweat. It's just that my anxiety was just so high. And then she put me on, what is it called?
Can't remember what you
Oh,
are.
God.
You on Buspar? I can't remember what you're on.
Lorazepam.
Oh, okay, yeah, when you were having the panic attacks.
Yes, when I was having panic attacks and everything. And she was just like, hey, whenever you have a panic attack, you could just take one of these and it'll get you down. It'll bring you down. And it did. Whenever I was going through breakups and relationships and all the stuff that I was going through, people would disappear for weeks and crap. And and I'd be like, where you at? And they won't answer their phone and all of that stuff. I would just take one of those, and it was just like, it would literally take that anxiety off of me. And after a while, I didn't need it no more. my body started producing whatever that chemical that I was missing. It started producing it itself, and I didn't need it anymore. You know, and that's why I'm so pro medications, because I know everybody always trying to go the holistic route, and they was like, oh, don't get that medicine because this and that. But sometimes you need whatever it takes to bring you back to you. You need that. And it's very important that you get back to you, because it's that the further you fall, the harder it is to get up. Trust me, I've been there, and I know that.
And like you said, as humans, we're going to turn to something if we need to fill that void, and if we need to try and dull that pain. We're going to turn to alcohol, drugs, relationship after relationship, whatever it might be, because we need to fill that void. So, if we can find a balance, and like I said, medicine isn't for everybody, but if we can find a balance of taking medication and maybe exercising a little more, seeing a therapist, and kind of bringing all those things together, praying more, asking God to, show you what he needs to show you in your own pain, then we can begin to bring it all together without turning to unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I took medicine before. I went through postpartum depression with my son, so I guess what they call a rainbow baby. My son, before him, I had a miscarriage. And I tell you, when I found out I was pregnant with my son, I was like, that's the same baby. You can't tell me nothing. That's the same baby. And then after he was born, I my mind just wasn't that well for me. And, I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I went to my primary care doctor, and she's like, well, maybe we might need to try something. And, as a therapist, you're like, well, I'm helping someone. I help people. How am I telling people I'm helping them? I'm giving them coping skills. I can't cope with my own problem, my own pain. And, I took citalopram. And the one thing she remembers she told me is it's just temporary. And I think people need to understand that medication is only temporary if you use it right. So if they tell you to, if your doctor prescribes it for 6 months, that's all you need. It is for 6 months. It's just supposed to give you a boost to get you back on track so that you can keep going. Wow. Then after that, you use your coping skills, and everything else will work itself out. And that was the best thing for me, because I can't be an unhappy mama. I want to be a happy mama.
That's what Susan was telling me when she first prescribed it to me. She said it's temporary. She said right now your brain is not producing those different chemicals that's needed to make you feel normal, because you've had so many different traumas that it's actually preventing you from being you. And I'm so happy, and I want to say I really, really, you are connected to me forever for life, because you were very instrumental in me being who I am today, right now. I couldn't have done it without you, and I really, really, I want to take this time to thank you. I know I've said it so many times, but I really want the world to know that if it was not for you, I would not be in the sound mind that I'm in right now. And
well, God is so good. I have struggled with depression and anxiety as well, and I think because I have, experienced things, I can just bring a little bit of a different perspective to patients to say, I'm not doing this because I just want you to take a pill, or I just want you to be numb. I can help people understand, that this might be a road where you can feel like you again. And God's so good. He can use our pain and our experiences in our own life to then reach out to somebody else and say, let's try this. Let's keep working until we find the right thing for you, because you are worthy, and you are a child of God, and you are worthy of feeling that good stuff again, and being able to navigate the good and the bad, in a way where you feel like you can enjoy your life and enjoy the gifts that God gave you. And I mean, look at what you've done, and how you've taken your gifts and just blossomed with them. And God is so good in how He has used your story, and it's just amazing to see that.
Well, I want to thank the both of you for being a part of my platform, because not only am I using this podcast, you know, I have the Save Me with King Paul, where I'm actually helping people with mental illness and the different stressors in their life. And soon we have a tour coming up that we're going to be doing that. And the both of you have agreed to come along with us to help somebody. Because, you know, a lot of people don't have insurance. They don't have, you know, they don't have jobs. But what about them? Mm-hmm. How are they going to get help? Mm-hmm. You know, I think mental illness is very strong. It's strong enough where we should be giving help for that for free. Because this is why people are killing people. Because they don't have mental help. Not mental health, mental help. That's why they're killing everybody. And they're hurting people.
We also got to talk about the fact that insurance is an issue, but that's a whole nother story. But, you know, a part of mental health is insurance, period, and health, period. So people can't afford to even go to a regular doctor. And therapy costs just like a doctor's visit. So if you can't afford to go to see your doctor, you can't afford to go visit a therapist. So how do we make all these resources available and cost efficient for everybody?
Well, especially in the Black community as well too. It's really hard because we have two things fighting against us. We have people that feel like only the church can help them, and then you have people that are afraid to ask for help because they don't want to be labeled as crazy. You know, and we're at a disadvantage. You know, because the awareness isn't there. That's why I like your organization, the Association of Black Social Workers. That's why I like them, because they cater to Black communities, because we need that help. You know, a lot of Caucasians, they are smart enough to know that, hey, I'm crazy. And I need some help, or I'm gonna F somebody up or something. You know, they are more acceptance of the help, because, you know, they didn't have this whole stigma that we had as African Americans.
And I'm seeing that, in African American patients in the Black community. I think there is a bigger stigma, and a lot of people will say, no, I can't be labeled like that. I can't have this, you know, and you know, they feel like somebody might disown them, or their church might disown them, you know, if somebody finds out. And it is breaking down those barriers to say we are all, human beings, and we, you know, have to help each other through these emotions. I had somebody not too long ago, and she was like, you know, no, I'm not depressed. I just can't get out of bed, and I don't want to leave the house. And I was like, that is depression. And it was really hard. And I said, and that's okay. You know, it is not, you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything to bring this upon yourself. And she said, you know, within the Black community, within my church community and my family, nobody's ever talked about this. So I thought I was going crazy, you know, and just to break down those walls and those barriers and say, this doesn't, you know, make you a bad person or a bad Christian. This makes you a human being who's going through stuff. And it's true, if we can break down those barriers in communities, you know, at the community level and community events like concerts, and you know, people will see, you know what, I'm not alone. Like, all right, maybe nobody ever talked about it, but doesn't mean I'm not alone just because nobody ever talked about it before.
So how, what do we tell, where does the people go when they need to get help with their mental, and they don't want to go to the church, they don't want to go to the doctor, because they don't want to feel like they're crazy? That's why you come here. That's why you come to Unfiltered with King Paul. No, I'm just playing. But how do you help them? You know what I mean? How do you reach out to them? What is it that we can do to normalize this? You know what I mean? How can we normalize this?
Well,
But just continue to have conversation?
Have conversations, but right now there is a hotline, a suicide and prevention hotline. Dial 988 from your phone, and it will connect you directly to a counselor to try to talk to somebody and try to get you with some services. It's all 988. That's it.
Is it free?
988, yeah, it
It's
is.
free.
It's almost like 911 for mental health, and
Oh,
that's a
wow.
huge recent breakthrough that never existed before.
Yeah.
So it does say, all right, maybe there is enough conversation around this to know that, hey, we need a 911 for mental health. Like, it's that important all by itself. So that was a huge breakthrough, because maybe it does mean that the dial is moving a little bit, and that, people are talking about it more. To have that resource is pretty amazing. Yeah.
All right. So how can the people reach you two? Starting with you, Susan.
So I work within Baptist Primary Care, but just finding a primary care doctor in general is important. Here in Jacksonville, UF Shands, they do take uninsured patients. So sometimes if, cost and insurance is an absolute issue, I can refer people to good people within that system. But yeah, just like looking on the Baptist Primary Care website and finding a primary care office near you. My office is near Memorial Hospital, so it's pretty centralized. And yeah, people come from all different parts of the city to come see us and take care of their health.
And what about you?
I have a website, flclinicalsa.com. On that website, there's actually a link. If you fill in the information and request your own healing guide, you actually get a form that kind of helps you with some things that you can do on your own. You can message me. And then I also, in the spring, Paul has one. They're coming soon. They're called coping kits for those who cannot afford therapy or not ready to start therapy. This one is that Paul is about to show you guys. This is a art expression therapy. It helps with the wheel with colors. So sometimes painting helps with expressing your emotions, and that helps with understanding what emotion you may be feeling if you're not able to point them out. And those are small canvases. They're actually, you can throw it in your book bag, you can go anywhere. They're small canvases, and then you get 12 paints as well. These are something that I am working on to make sure that there is resources for those who just can't get to a therapist and just need some type of outlet to help them with coping. And
You gave us paintbrushes?
Yeah.
Look, I'm Artist Gilmore.
Painting is one
Y'all
of
know
the
who Artist
biggest
Gilmore is?
No, I know
expressions.
Da
Do you know who Artist Gilmore is?
Well, I've heard of him.
Have you heard of Artist Gilmore? Okay, I'm old. So, this little thing over here talking about, I know Da Vinci. You don't even know him. You just heard it on a song. But, we thank y'all for coming. Like, I hope that y'all come back. Well, I know you're going to be working with the King Paul Kingdom. So, I thank y'all. I really, really do. Especially you for bringing me to me. And thank you for being a friend always, like for years.
Yes, like we got connected through my mother-in-law, and
Yes.
she obviously she know good people when she know good people.
Exactly. So this is what's fun,
This was good.
And I like this because I'm gonna use this even though I can't paint. First of all, I have no rhythm.
Yeah.
I can't draw. I can't paint. I can sing. I can't clean. I can cook. Yeah, that's about.
Look in there real quick.
Okay.
Open there, and one of those papers, there's like something written on the bottom of it. Not on the paper, one of the papers.
Okay.
I want you to read that for the people.
Oh, right there.
Right here?
Is that it at the bottom? What does it say?
Okay, how to use that.
No,
Remember, art is a self-expression. There is no right way. Oh, look at you. Look at
Yeah,
that.
maybe just, get your rhythm and sing one of your songs and just see what's
right.
coming
Yeah,
at you.
I'll see ya.
That's
Yeah.
art.
I am so clumsy. The paint is going to be all over me, all over the floor.
You just say it's contemporary art.
Right. It's not about what you made. It's about releasing your emotions. Yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm definitely going to try it. Maybe I can become an artist. Well, I'm an artist, but maybe I can become a drawing artist. Or listen, y'all, when I was growing up, you know how we had the crayons and everything. So I was flicked it. Y'all know what flicked it means? Okay. Yeah. So I was really afflicted, right? So I couldn't draw. I mean, I couldn't paint. I couldn't paint. I couldn't color or anything. So I would take the black marker on the coloring book, and I would draw around the black marker of the edges of everything to thicken up the line,
So
and then I would color it right.
That's smart.
Yeah. So I would color in, but guess what? The color still bled outside. So that's that. You know, I'm artistic in another way. So, but again, thank you guys for coming. And this is our conclusion. And see you guys later. Don't look at me. Bye, y'all.
I'm a hazard to myself. I'm destroying myself. I'm a problem for myself.